Okay, everyone. So I think it's top of the hour. This is what we have for the agenda today. Of course, I first want to welcome you to the call. So today we want to talk about the rest of the Jakarta EE specification documents and what needs to be done to prepare them for the Jakarta EE. And Ivar will take that over. We also want to talk about the Jakarta EE 8 release, and we'll get the retrospective from Bratt. And then finally, I will just give you a couple of reminders with regards to Eclipse Con Europe that is starting next week. And I am certainly hoping that you all saw the Jakarta EE elections email. So please, for all eligible committer members, committers, actually, this is invitation to nominate someone or nominate themselves if they're eligible. So I think if there is nothing else on the topic, we'll certainly leave a couple of minutes or enough time for the questions. You can always reach us if there are any comments or questions, but let's get going with Ivar. So Ivar, you want to take over and share your screen and start doing it that way? I'll stop sharing.
Yes, so today I'll go through a couple of steps of how to get started with converting the specifications to Jakarta EE. As you know, they are donated by Oracle, and they are the Java EE versions of the specifications. And we need to perform a couple of steps in order to make them valid for Jakarta EE. And I think we've been promised that they should be available, at least a couple of them, either tonight or tomorrow. So when you see an email in your inbox, if you're a developer or committer on a project, you will get an email that there are some documents available in Bugzilla or IPzilla, some link to there. You just log in there and download the zip, and I'll show how you go forward from that step then. So I'll just share my desktop here. Let me see that I take the correct one. This one, there we go. So, not this, let me get another browser. Let me see, this one I think. So, no, not that one, sorry. There you go. So, the specification I'll demo here today is the security API. So just imagine now that I've gotten an email, I've logged into the issue in the Eclipse Foundation tooling, and I've downloaded the zip file. So it will look something like this. You get a zip file. So what I'll do is to just unzip it and have a look at how it looks. So I'll just extract it here. Go ahead. So I've got it here. You see, I have the security folder here, and I have the source for this specification document. Now, all the documents have been converted to ASCII doc, no matter what the previous format was. Now, I happen to know that the security spec was ASCII doc all from the beginning, so this transformation is pretty easy and straightforward. If it has been converted from, for example, a Word or something else, it may be one big file. So the recommendation there is to split it up in different sections, as is already done here with the security, since it's a rather new spec, so it was written in ASCII doc from the beginning. So this is probably the easiest one to go forward with. So I just checked, verified that it is here. I can build it if I want. The POM file is there, so I can start build it and have a look at it. or I can just go ahead and put it into the existing infrastructure of the security spec. So what I've done here is I've forked the security API to my private repo in order to just do it locally here and push it to my fork, and then I'll create a pull request into the main repository so they can have a look at it. So I've done that here, and I cloned this one down to my computer here. So this document or this project has a parent POM. It has a API where the Java doc is generated from, and it has the specs. So in this case, you have both the API and the spec in the same repository. And that is because this project chose to have it so. You may split them up in different repositories, and there are good reasons for doing that, and there are good reasons to keep them together. And it's just a matter of taste. We're not dictating you have to do this and that. The advantages of having them together is that you can version them together. You can reference API easily from the spec documents and back and forth. So that is a good reason for having them together as this. If you want to release like minor updates to either the API or the spec documents independently of each other, so to just push patches or service releases, it may make sense to split them in different repos. But it's just a matter of the taste for your particular project or how you see it evolving, and you can always change it later. So in this case, we have the spec and API in the same. So if I open the spec document, you will see that all the specs have this same structure. It has a ASCII folder where you have a scope statement. And this is how the Jakarta EE specifications were. We just added a scope statement, and that's it. So what we need to do here is to add the real specification document. And the easiest way of doing that is actually just to take the ASCII files from the downloaded source and just copy it into the same folder. So let's see if we can hit it there. Clearly, you see I have all the sources in the new one. And as you see, there is a file called security spec ADoc, and there's one called ASCII doc. And the ASCII doc is the one that I've downloaded from the zip file, and the ADoc is the one that we used to have in the Jakarta EE specification. This one has all the logos and stuff, so I recommend to use this one. So what I'll do is just to look at the contents here and see that I have the license, I have the preface, I have concepts, I have authentication and everything in bibliography. Just copy this list over to the document that we had from the Jakarta EE version, and you'll see that we have the scope statement. I don't think we really need the scope statement anymore. It's more a project scope statement, but if you want to leave it, just leave it, but find a way to place it there. But what you actually should do is just replace the scope statement with the contents of this, the specification. And also see we have the EFSL license, which is the one you're going to use. So you can remove the old license from the Java EE version, and I'll also remove the scope just for fun here. So this is what I've done. So what I'll do now is just simply type Maven clean package. Let's see how it goes. So as you see, this one is super easy since it's already where in ASCII doc and already where in different chapters, so you don't have to split it. But I really recommend do this split and take them independently, so you'll be able to to work on it in parallel. So it's building here. It's creating both an HTML version and a PDF. So let's see, it's working together here, and it's going to zip it. Let's see, it wasn't as slow this morning, but it's working. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Let's try to stop it and build it again just to see if it gets better.
That's always happens when we're live, right?
Oh yes, it always does.
Yeah.
But the good thing with computer is that you can do the same thing over and over again and get different results.
Yeah.
So let's see if this one goes better now. I think my computer is a little busy. So while this one is building, I'll just leave it there. I'll go in and look at where we have the description of the steps you should perform to do this stuff. So just go into my GitHub here. It's the easiest way to navigate to. So you can go into the Jakarta organization. It's github.com/Jakarta EE. And under the specification committee, we'll publish this link after this meeting as well. We have this steps Java EE to Jakarta EE ASCII doc. So you can go in here and see the steps needed. And here's the steps that I've done now. I downloaded the document. I unzipped it. I didn't create a branch yet, but that is what you should do. Then I copied the contents of the zip into the original spec document. And the next thing I'm going to do is commit and push a branch and then create a pull requests. But I wanted to just build it first, and I'm not sure why it's so slow. Oh, it's a success here. So let's go in and look at it. So I'll just open the, you see it creates a zip file here. So I'll just unzip this one. Like this. So I'm getting let's just look at the PDF here. It should be able to open. Okay, it won't. Just reload it. There you go. So it doesn't want to open. Let's go out in my browser here. Open the file. Security, spec, target, and we have the security spec, and we have the PDF here. And as you see, it's a nice Jakarta EE security specification. It has a new version, the date, everything. The table contents is there. So it has all the correct information. It has the Eclipse Foundation specification license, and it has all the contents as you recognize from the Java EE version. So the next step going forward here is to replace all the stuff that is related to Java EE and references to the Java EE names and specification. And this is where the real work is. What I'm doing is just showing just get it into your repo. And the instructions for how to do it after you've done this preparation step is to follow these cleanup steps. And the main thing is to change all references to Java EE to Jakarta EE, which is pretty easy, just certain in place. And then you need to replace all the references to JCP with the corresponding Eclipse processes. And then references to JSRs. You should use the specification, the name and version of the specification, rather than using a JSR number. So then you avoid the ambiguity there. If you reference a existing Java EE technology or acronym, then and JSR, this is okay as long as you just state it in the beginning of a document that these are existing specifications you are referencing. And when you do the references, just make sure that you don't change anything. the behavior or the meaning of the document should be equivalent. It's just the Jakarta EE version and not the Java EE version. That is the first step. As soon as you have done the document, then you can start modifying it. But that will be according to how the Jakarta EE9 is handled. And also, if you want to release this document as a part of Jakarta EE8, we can do a dot release of it and push it up so the specification will be there, but you cannot do any changes that changes anything then it cannot be a part of Jakarta EE8. And we really recommend that we get these documents out so the Jakarta EE8 release will have these full documents as well. Kevin has helped us here with creating a lot of helpful hints while we go through the conversion. It depends on how it's formatted, if it's generated from a Word document or something. It could be some weird ASCII thing here and there. So you need to go carefully through and just make sure that all the images and things look the same. So there are some helpful tips and tricks there. And of course, as with anything, if you discover something new that would be good for everybody to know, please update this document with a pull request. So I'll just go forward with the next step here. So if I go down here and I can create a branch, check it out, and call it initial doc. And then you see here I have all the changes I've done. So I'll just add everything, git commit, initial version, still has Java EE refs. So we need to change that. I'll sign off the pull request, which you need to do if you're not a committer on the project. And then I'll just push it to my fork. What do I call the branch here? Initial doc. So I've done a quick update, added the spec documents here. I can go in and now do a pull request to the actual project. And here I would say that if you plan on doing this change before you do any other changes, which I really recommend you should do, you should just merge it into master and then start working. Otherwise, create a separate branch and do it. But I think the security project, we're going to do it pretty fast, I think. So I'll just create this pull request into the master branch. And it's a good idea to let somebody look at it, so you can add some reviewers from the project here. Maybe Arjun wants to look at this one, for example. And then when it's approved, we'll just push it. And he's really fast. He's already approved it. So as soon as this one has completed the checks, we'll just merge it. So any questions so far?
So that means it was perfectly clear. So was this helpful?
Yeah, I think this is helpful. It's just a good overview of the work that we need to do. So yeah, I think it's helpful indeed.
Yeah, at least it's a start. So you can just get the document in there and then get the ASCII document. After that, it's manual labor, it's tedious, and it's probably not going to be right on the first attempt. So you just have to go some iterations and just do it.
Yeah, I think
the thing is that we are getting the documents now.
I think it's quite similar to the work we did for the ASCII doc. Sorry, for the Java doc.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think everybody who did that type of job before is quite familiar with doing this. It's just from the look of it, replacing all the trademarks, all the references, all the copyright statements. It should be doable.
So as soon as these checks have completed, I'll just merge this pull request, but we don't have to sit and wait for that. So unless there are any other comments and stuff, I'll leave it back to Tanja and you can go on.
Okay, thank you. So let me just then invite Ed, and I think Ed is ready to go as well. So Ed, if you want to take over and share your screen.
Hi, can you see all? Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to present a sort of a wrap up of what we did. This is kind of a repeat if you saw my presentation at Code One, but I know many of you, many people were unable to travel. So just to recap what our deliverables were, right? We wanted to generate a complete set of the Jakarta EE8 specifications. We didn't want to make any changes to those specifications. We did need to make sure that we had a complete specification document, an API release, a Jakarta EE API release, and a Jakarta EE TCK, and we wanted to make sure that we had at least one verified compatible implementation. We started the year with code contributions and implementations for all the original APIs. We completed that Java EE compliance pass, and we released Eclipse Glassfish and all of its associated components. This year, we basically bootstrapped a complete spec process almost from nothing. I mean, we had a lot of people with experience, and we knew how to start it, but actually getting that to paper and coming up with those processes and getting it to the point where we had something that would work for all of Eclipse and a way to refine that. We got those two pieces ratified in the middle of the year, and then we made a complete, Oracle made a complete contribution of all of its specification document texts to Eclipse Foundation, and they've been in the process of making that, getting that ready for distribution to distribution and copyright clearance from all the previous committers or previous writers. In any case, that is all behind us. Hopefully, we should start seeing some new specs coming out pretty soon. And then lastly, all the TCK contributions, we needed to verify that those were complete contributions, that all the code, all the documentation, all the setup for running the tests was completed, and that we had TCK test jobs for all of the component specifications. So it was an awful lot of work there, right? All the component specifications were completed. We delivered them on, ratified them under the Jakarta EE specification process. The platform specification documents for the full profile and web profile are complete, and they contain all the specification text. So now our next job, as Ivar was just describing, is to bring all the rest of those documents over to Eclipse and get them converted. Let's see. So what does each contain? Each specification has a specification document. In most cases, there's Java docs and a TCK. There are a few examples that don't have one or the other, but everything has to have a reference to an implementation that meets all the compatibility requirements. We managed to get it all done, 34 specifications in all. These are included in 31 different projects. Obviously, some projects have more than one specification in them. And on day one, we had multiple organizations who produced compatible implementations. And as of today, we've got, Eclipse Glassfish, Open Liberty, Payara Server, and Wildfire are all certified compatible with Jakarta EE8. We've never had a, that many compatible implementations this quickly after any Java EE release. If you're interested, you could browse to jakarta.ee/compatibility. I'll see, I think I had that here. Of course, the Zoom features are helping me. So here's the compatible products page. All of the products are listed here. There's a link to that each product's download, and then a link to the to the evidence that was provided for determining if that project was compatible. So we expect this list to continue to grow. There are still commercial grade products that that could be added to this list. So I guess if you don't see your favorite application server here, wait a while, or talk to your vendor and see, ask them when they're when you think that they will be getting a Jakarta EE release. All right. Loading. Okay. So we brought up a complete new website, basically by the bootstraps. This is Jakarta.ee. If you haven't gone and visited that, do make sure you give it a look. And then just, I find it much easier to find the specification now at jakarta.ee/specifications. They're all sort of there and ready to go. Let's see, I think I have so here's the homepage for Jakarta EE, right? We keep an active list of events that are coming up that are related to Java, enterprise technologies. People can submit their events. If you have an event coming up and you don't see it listed here, there's a button here, follow the form, and you can submit events to show up here. We looked at that one, and then here's the specifications page, right? And you'll see all of the different specifications that are part of Jakarta EE are listed here. You can drill into these. Eventually there will be more than one, but here's what a particular specification itself looks like. There'll be links to the specification itself. There'll be Java docs, there's a TCK, and how do you get it from Maven, all right? So this is, I think we've, the organization here is a great start. We've got, I'm sure there's going to be more sort of growing pains associated with that. We have contributed, or there are 15 implementation projects that are part of this this entire working group, and that list is, I predict, will continue to grow. And then, so altogether, 47 different projects that are part of the Java EE specification and implementation working group. Those are all here at eclipse.org/projects/EE for J. That's a sort of a holdover from when we started this. And it's all contained in 121 Git repositories. So, get cracking if you want to memorize where all these things are and what they do. We couldn't have done this without a community, right? The major organizations here, I see, I didn't even list Oracle, but, we had Oracle, IBM, Red Hat. Tommy Tribe was pivotal in helping us get things done. Pyara was pivotal in getting a lot of the compatible implementations up and running. Their TCKs, Fujitsu, London Java Community, WebTide, and even Sales. We even had contributions from somebody who works at Salesforce. There's a lot of people behind these corporations, and lots of thanks and lots of kudos go to those people. I listed a bunch of individuals that I don't personally know their corporate connections. I'm sure I didn't list everybody, so please accept my apologies if you worked hard and I forgot to write your name here. I could try to do better when I, next time I have next time I've got a list of thanks to go along with this. Let's see. So what's next? You probably want to follow the platform specification project for most of the active discussion going on right now. There's a mailing list if you're not on it. I put the link here. Sorry, well, I guess I could just click the link, right? So, so here's how, this is the sign up page if you're interested in adding yourself to this. This button changes, this button, red button here, for me, it would unsubscribe me, but if you're not subscribed, this button says subscribe. All right, let's see. And then there's the GitHub project, which I've just listed out as a complete URL. You can watch or star that repository, and all of the issues that are applied and all the discussion that's associated with those issues will go on. Will magically appear in your inbox if that's what you want. There's other ways to keep track of it. I don't have time to go through all of those here. There will be a few more specifications that'll be coming up on ballot real soon now. There's a collection of specifications that were deprecated out of Java from Java SE, basically from 9 forward. These are still necessary for Jakarta EE. The pull requests are submitted, and we're just waiting for some airtime with the specification committee to get those reviewed and ready to go to ballot. There are brand new specifications that are part of Jakarta EE that are very close to getting proposed for a some kind of a ballot. I think a planning review or maybe even a release review. So keep an eye out for those things. They should be happening pretty soon. That's it for the what we got done. I can pause here for if there's any questions, comments. Anybody wants to give kudos to anybody?
I guess from our end, we want to give kudos to everyone. That's certainly for their involvement, but it would be lovely to hear from the audience. Or not this time around.
It's a sleepy audience. Well, it's sleepy here anyway. All right. So I've tried to provide some links. I will put these slides. I will definitely put the slides where they'll be useful, and you can look at them, grab the links out of these if you want. All right. So retrospective feedback. I just wanted to touch on this quickly. If you're subscribed to the working group email, you will have seen, and you might have seen a message from David Blevins. The subject was community retrospective on Jakarta EE release, right? So we're basically trying to capture your feedback in a Google document. Anybody can edit it. You can edit it anonymously, or you can edit it, and include your name, credentials if you like. I think Google tracks who it's probably. I don't. My belief is you're not required to log in. So if you want to provide anonymous love, if you want to provide anonymous hate, I think that's all possible in this document. Let's see, if I click it, I thought I had it opened already, but I guess I'll open it again. So, try to follow the directions that David's outlined at the top here. Try to be clear about what it is that you're suggesting, and the specification and steering group. We have committed to reviewing this feedback and trying to assess what things do we want to take on, and how can we do this better? How can we improve the process, improve how we present it, to community members, and also improve the participation, right? What can we do to make, where have we hit the mark and where have we missed, right? So we'll take both kinds of feedback, let's see. This archive link is to the email in case you didn't get it yet. You didn't see it. So this is all of these. It doesn't require login to read any of the email. I don't think it requires login to read any of the email from the web server. If somebody's on the line that knows differently, please correct me, because unfortunately I'm a member of all these things. So if I have a hard time getting the logged out view. So anyway, we would like your feedback, and we could even take some feedback here. I think we might have time if anybody is dying to raise any points here. I have another section here where I can talk about how to get involved, because one of the feedback items was we tried to get involved, but we couldn't successfully navigate the navigate to actually getting involved based on the information we'd given. So my problem is I've been so imbued in all of this, I have a hard time seeing what, you know, where I'm missing the mark in terms of what, you know, what we're saying and how we're giving directions. I did notice there's a chat. I don't know if there's spectate. Okay. Kudos. Thank you, Edwin.
Okay, so maybe one piece of comment that I've heard a lot is that the initial process was quite a bit of work and we had to make things up as we went along. So I think specifically the WebSocket lead had some critical comments there that things changed while he was doing it, and then he did it and things changed again. So that was certainly something that we could improve next time. On the other hand, this was the first time. So if we do the process again, then all those things should be way easier.
Yes, we had that problem ourselves, right? We were trying to, it's a little bit like, you know, changing out the engine in a car that you're driving down the freeway, right? So, you know, we also had, we would start running down the process and we'd find out, oh, we can't do this because this doesn't exist yet, or, you know, and there are definitely some actions that we will be taking to try to refine. Maybe we'll change the specification processes, but right now we're focusing mostly on sort of the ancillary documents that describe here, that basically give you the a work list that go down and say, okay, first do this, then do that, then do the other thing. So yes, I totally get that feedback. Anybody have other comments they care to raise here?
Oh yeah, so maybe one piece of comment too. I think that Bill actually put that on the list already, but it's the access to the other jobs that are being created on Jenkins from jobs that you don't have access to. So a lot of people are creating very similar jobs for running the TCK and what have you, and they can't see each other's work. So I think that is still not solved, is it?
So do you think it would be feasible if work items like that were tracked by issues? I know that might be overhead we don't think we need, but I mean, would that help? Or
it might be, I'm not really sure at the moment. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Bill did create an issue for it already. So maybe a Bugzilla bug.
So I do know there were some questions about where actually to file issues. I've noticed some confusion about that, right? There are two issue trackers. There's the, for anybody who's used to working at Eclipse, they might be focused on trying to write up issues and then assign them via the Bugzilla that's part of Eclipse Foundation. And then there's the issue trackers associated with repositories. And so if you play back 121 repositories, each one of those has an issue tracker, right? So it can be quite daunting to figure out which one should I actually, is the right one to use for that issue. So for example, with the TCKs, there's the repository where the TCK code lives. There's a different repository for specification, and then there's a repository for the APIs. And so if you bump into something that's not working as you expect, which one of those three repositories should you use? And I think during the process, we decided that we would like all of those to go to the specification project first. And then if the specification project decides it needs to be addressed in an API change or a TCK change, then they would create a secondary issue in the actual code-based project. But unfortunately, I don't know that we've communicated that super well. So that's certainly an area where I think we will tighten up in the overarching process documents.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the rest of the slides basically just go over how would you become a contributor, you know, and I don't know if this audience wants to go to that level. That's a sort of a primer, I call it. You know, first thing you need to do is decide what you want to do, right? If you just want to provide feedback, you know, anybody can download any of the implementations. Anybody can read the documents. You can use the implementations. If you find issues and problems, you can't, you could tweet about it if you have a Twitter account, but if you want to file issues, you must, the lowest bar I can think of is create a GitHub account if you don't have it already. And that's pretty straightforward, github.com/join, and just follow the forms there, create a GitHub account, and then you can, I think you're off to the races. You can file issues against the documentation, any of the tutorials, the specifications, or the implementations, right? There's no, I don't think there is any additional requirement needed for providing that level of feedback through GitHub. If somebody knows different, please tell me. If you want to go further and actually help with your contributions, right? If you want to create some fixes, if you want to make some updates, you must be a contributor, right? And so there's sort of two things I would say you should try to make sure you understand, right? Eclipse has a handbook for how development is supposed to work. So if nothing else, just scan through that so you have a sense of what the, you know, what's the lingo that we use at Eclipse for talking about projects, right? Who is the EMO, and you know, what's the role of the administrators, and how do I get in touch with anybody in this particular project? So definitely at least know that that exists, and that if somebody starts spewing process to you, give you a resource to go back and try to get some answers. In some cases, you need to understand what your employer is going to, you know, obligate you regarding your contributions. Can you make contributions, right? And if so, what does your employer going to tell you, yes or no, or how do they monitor that? You know, we don't want to get anybody in trouble. We want to make sure that everybody who's doing these contributions is, you know, is doing it with the, you know, the full cooperation of their organization. So GitHub organization, if you haven't worked with GitHub, there's a bunch of tutorials, you know, YouTube videos, there are GitHub guides. You know, there's a wealth of information for getting started at GitHub. The guides is one of them. You must create an Eclipse user account, and to make a contribution, you must complete the Eclipse contributor agreement, right? If you work for a company that is already a member of Eclipse organization, the contributor agreement is pretty easy. You just click some boxes, you write in the name of your organization. The Eclipse Foundation will go check all of that and match your user account up with your member organization. And I think in most cases, that's all you need. If you're an individual, there is some additional paperwork that you will need to fill out before you can make any contributions. And the Eclipse Foundation will handle that by sending you some emails. I would say the most common thing that I've seen is those emails come back and they don't quite have the subjects, or somehow they get lost in your inbox. So do watch out for that if you are creating your first account at Eclipse Foundation. Once you have a GitHub ID, and you've got your Eclipse account, you should be able to create pull requests that will pass the required origination checks. These get done every time somebody does a commit, and the system will check, is this coming from somebody that has been authorized to provide source code or changes to this project. If you're not a committer to the project, right, you need to add signed off by, that's a git tag to every one of your commits. I think they go through if you don't do that, but you are a member of a committer member of the project, but I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure about that. Let's see, and make sure that the signed off by tag includes the email address that you used in your Eclipse account. Right, so some people use GitHub accounts and then they have a corporate account, and or they have more than one account for different purposes. So that's the other place where that that ECA check might get lost, is if you submit and you write a different account, a different email in those two. So it might not find you, and then you'll get this big red check mark by your Eclipse that says, or a big red X, excuse me, that says, this person's not authorized. Once you create the pull request, one of the existing committers on the project should pick it up and do a review. And once they agree and they've approved all your changes, that so one of the committers from the project will be able to merge your changes into the repository, either a branch or in the mainline, whichever one you're working on. So I believe that's everything that you need to make a basic contribution. Suggestions, right? Do your best to reach out to the existing committer group using either project's development list or perhaps by initiating a discussion through the issue tracker, right? A lot of times, or sometimes people will just sort of make a contribution, and to the contributors, it may look like it's coming out of the blue, and they maybe don't recognize that they need to take action. Some of us, myself, for example, I'm subscribed to all of those repositories. I'm subscribed to all of those lists, and my inbox is just a total mess all the time. So I'm terrible at finding things. Especially I'm terrible at finding things that I didn't expect. So try to reach out and make a direct connection to people that are already associated with the project. I think if the better the project membership, the committer members are tuned to looking for your feedback, the more likely your changes, your commits, your PRs, your commentary will be acted on quickly. If you try all this and you still can't get there, try posting something to the Jakarta EE Community mailing list. So, and see if that, somebody there will probably shame the committers from the project into, taking some quick action on for you. Okay, any, I think.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
I posted to the Jakarta EE Community mailing list today, and it was rejected, but it was from my work ID, which I don't think is a subscriber. I've just tested a post to the developer ones. Do you have to be a subscriber to be able to post to that?
I believe you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do, and the reason why is strictly for spam control.
Sure.
If you open up Mailman so that it posts from non-subscribers are allowed, the end result is really bad.
Okay, I'll make sure to post from the correct address. Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
On occasion, you will get. I've had some emails. And I don't know, there's some kind of filtering or qualification that's applied where it says your email looks like it might be spam. We've sent it on to the moderator. Sometimes that can take a little while to get resolved. So, but you should get the autoresponder should respond fairly quickly that happened to you. I wish I understood that more, but every once in a while I will send something out, and I know I am a member of the list, and I get that feedback. I suspect it's another type of spam filter. They're just trying to keep the noise down. Having lived through forges that, you know, Java.net, for example, for a while before they got their spam control sort of in place, it was just a nightmare with all this crap that came across those lists. So, you know, this is one of those, you got to live with some restrictions or you're just going to hate your inbox. Okay, any other questions about? I mean, we want your feedback. We want to make this as easy as possible. There are some, you know, everybody wants your credentials, right? GitHub wants your credentials. You know, they want to make sure that their systems are being used, you know, in a way that's appropriate for them. There are a few kinds of contributions that do require committer membership. If you want to work with the Jenkins jobs, the CI/CD systems that are available, you have to be a committer. That's the only way you can actually get in and see all the nuts and bolts of a particular project's continuous integrations or continuous build jobs. I will say this: if this is something that you want to work on, raise that issue with your project team. I'd be shocked if they didn't immediately promote you to committer. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is an area where there's no clean way that I'm aware of if you're just an observer for getting around and working with those systems. And see some chat stuff. Let's see what's happening here.
So one thing we might be able to do is just a thing that came to mind, and not really sure how feasible it is, but to actually store the jobs that we create on Jenkins, the XML representation of it in version control and GitHub as well. So people could actually do PRs to that and look at it. It might be something, but then again, it might be trouble to keep those in sync.
Yeah, if there were a better connection between GitHub and the CI/CD systems, that would be that might be some kind of an improvement that we could invest some time into. But for now, they're very distinct. I think if let's say you have been working on a project and you've got a large package or something, you want to contribute a substantial body of code, almost for sure you're going to need to become a committer on that project to perform that contribution, because you'll need to go through the intellectual property review that Eclipse requires for big contributions. You know, some lines of code, anything that that you've written that's constrained and within the context of the project, all of that can be done via a regular PR pull request. Let's see, I'm not sure, this is just the email that got rejected, is that right? In the chat?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think I'm just sort of showing you what it looks like, but I've just tried sending one to Jakarta EE platform dev from the email address that is subscribed to it, and it hasn't been rejected yet. So I think it's fine. I just didn't understand how it was working.
Okay.
So you don't have a problem with the platform, right? It's the community one that you have problem with.
I haven't had a rejection from the platform yet. I think the systems are fine. It's just a user error in terms of sending from my work email when I would subscribe from my Gmail, and that's all really.
Okay, thanks for letting us know. We'll look into it for sure.
Okay, that's all I have for slide.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Ed? Let me just bring my agenda and again remind you about the EclipseCon and of course selections. We got a couple of a couple of nominations and self-nominations, but this is an invite for everyone to, if you're a committee member, and if you're eligible, please, sign up for, if you're a committer, let me be correct, and you want to be part of the Jakarta EE Steering Committee or Jakarta EE Marketing and Brand Committee. We have those 3 vacant seats. So please get in touch and, of course, get involved and have your voice heard in the working group. That's one quick reminder. And then the second one is most of us, certainly all at Eclipse Foundation, will be next week. But next year, hopefully, as well at the same time, at EclipseCon Europe, we are meeting at and expecting you at Ludwigsburg next week. So do get in touch. Please let us know if you're there. We would love to talk to you. We have just a couple of minutes left. If there are any questions on this part, or any other topics that we should discuss. We also have others from the community here. We can take advantage of having Mike on the call as well. So please ask questions or provide us feedback. We would, as Ed said a couple of times, we're desperate to hear from you. And if no questions, I would invite you to actually spread the word, invite people to not just participate on these meetings. We would like to, get more attendance so we can get more feedback and we can attract more people, not just to these calls, but monthly update blogs or anything that we're doing. We would like to hear from you on that.
Gordon, your email went through, so.
Ah, great.
You passed the test.
Okay then. So I guess if there is nothing else, we'll work on this and we'll meet again next month. And in the meanwhile, just drop a note if you have any feedback. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.